Okay, so as you probably know, we've been linked with many players, including Eddie and Nikita, over the last few weeks, and I don't think there's anything seriously going to happen. So I haven't mentioned them any further than that. But if anything does pop up that I think is worth a mention, then I will of course do so. Today I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, the situation regarding John Textor. Now, there has been this rumor flying around that he's thinking about selling his 45% stake in the club. And it could be that Josh Harris, who already owns 18% share of the club, could want to step in and buy the shares off of John Textor, and that would give him over a 60% share of the club ownership. So it would mean that he would have a majority share, and therefore he would have majority powers. However, we do know obviously that Steve Parish has quite a lot of voting power, even though he only owns 10% of the club. So that would be something I think Josh Harris would need to negotiate before he would buy the remaining 45%, because obviously there's no point owning over 60% of the club if you're not being able to involved in the day-to-day running of the club. You're not allowed to get involved in decision making and stuff like that. If that was vetoed, then obviously he may decide that he didn't want to do it. And I think any potential buyer coming in for this 45% would want certain assurances that he or she would have some kind of power within the club, some kind of responsibility within the club, some kind of say in terms of what's going on in the club. Now, we know that John Textor and Steve Parish have been at loggerheads a little bit because of the fact that I think John Textor wants it to go in a certain direction and Steve Parish wants it to go in a different direction. So I think there have been a few disagreements, which is probably why he's looking to sell. But I think if another person does come in, or even a group of people come in as a company to buy this remaining share, then I think that this situation regarding Steve Parish's decision making and his voting powers will have to be negotiated if that's going to happen. Now, I know there are quite a few people out there who think that Steve Parish should sell up and leave and let somebody else come in, and I would say the only thing that causes me a little bit of concern about this is the fact that Steve Parish understands the situation that happened when we went into administration the last time, and I think that he, above everybody else, doesn't want that to happen again. He wants us to be financially secure. He doesn't want us to get involved in the whole financial fair play situation. So I think he is concerned about that, and I think it's something that he doesn't want the club to go under again, and I think that is what a lot of fans don't want the club to go under again. Whether that has meant that he has been perhaps a little bit too cautious at times, who knows? I mean, we only really know the kind of decisions that he's making. But, if he does decide to leave, or if there's pressure on him to leave, it could theoretically, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could theoretically lead down a path that could lead to more financial insecurity in the future, which is what we don't want. So I'm a little bit in two minds about the whole situation, but I did get a very interesting email, and if you want to email the show, you can do at footballtothecore@gmail.com. That's footballtothecore@gmail.com. Somebody did do that, a guy named Barry, who very kindly emailed me to say that he used to work with Steve Parish back in the day, and he had a little story he wants to give me, so I'm going to read it out to you. He said, a number of my family were in the printing trade as well. Steve Parish was my uncle's apprentice. And for 8 years in the 1980s, I worked in the same department as Steve. He was a departmental manager at a company called TAG in Clerkenwell Road, EC1. He said they occupied a large building in London on about 4 floors, so they employed plenty of staff. 3 of us were Palace fans, Steve, myself, and a guy called Ben Baker. So we were all well outnumbered. I'm retired now, but at the time, work was a chore. I didn't really enjoy my job, but with a young family to support, wife and a mortgage, etc., well, you know the drill. Steve was a workaholic, driven, not like the rest of us. While we longed for the clock to get around to 5 o'clock to go home, he was still working late into the evening. We just couldn't understand it. Hadn't he got a home to go to? Bit by bit, as the years went by, the directors retired and he would buy their shares, and after working like crazy for many years, he rose from the bottom to the top. He sold the company and is now chairman of the football club he loves and all of the trimmings it comes with. But when I see him on the telly in the director's box, he still looks as driven and workaholic as I know he is. The club has never been in better hands since he took over. And And I think, you know, I think that's right. I think, you know, thank you very much to Barry, by the way, for emailing that in. That's a great insight into his work life. And I think he is a driven person. I think that he does work hard. I think he does want the club to be successful, but I think he wants to do it within his own terms and within the financial constraints that there are at the moment. But I do think, you know, I do think he does have the best interests of the club at heart. Now, maybe that's not as perhaps progressive as some people want it to be, but I do think he wants the club to do well. I mean, he's invested in this youth system, which, you know, the youth training facilities, which are state of the art. He's trying to get this stand built, which I think is, you know, it's been delayed a few bits here and there, but I think he is trying to get that built. So I think he is working towards it. It's just taking more time than I think some people are willing to give him, perhaps. Anyway, I'd just let you know what you thought about that little email. It's great to have that, and thank you, Barry, for emailing it into me. The second thing I want to talk about is Doucoure, and that is because obviously he's off at the moment with his Achilles injury. There are rumours that they are going to be opening talks to extend his contract to the club, which is fantastic, because he is one of those players that we desperately need to stay at the club. He is a workhorse in the middle there, and really, really, you know, you can tell that we really missed him lately, even though Richards and that have done a great job. We have missed him, absolutely. So hopefully that negotiations will go ahead and he will sign a new contract, not only to help, maybe hopefully he'll stay at the club a bit longer, but also because it will raise his price, so that if they do decide to sell him, or if he does want to move on, we'll be able to get a little bit more money for him, which is of course be a fantastic thing. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I do hope that you've enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comment section what you think, and if you're listening to us as a podcast, as I said, don't forget to email me on footballtothecore@gmail.com if you've got any comments or stories that you want to share. If you've got any stories regarding Palace being a supporter or something like that, let me know. I'd love to have them. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And I'll see you next time.